What's going on, actors? Mike Moreno here. Happy to join you. Jumping in for another video about some news here that I think is very important for actors to be aware of. So this was just released today. It is the 28th of July, 2020, the year we will never forget. So many things have happened, and I think this news is important and really puts a lot of what we are dealing with as artists into perspective. So this news comes from Deadline today, talking about CAA, which is one of the top 4 casting agencies on the entire planet, one of the biggest in the world, is furloughing 275 employees and lets go of 90 agents and executives in what Deadline is calling a bombshell move. So CAA, what does that mean, right? So that means that if you've been watching what's been going on in our industry, you might have seen some of the writing on the wall where people were very excited for a long period of time about the industry reopening, about things coming back online, about safety protocol, about things getting put in place that would allow production, mostly film and television production, to come back online, and hopefully that would, reignite the industry, and everybody would be very happy about that. It was clear that big agencies had, even though that was the talk of the town for a while, agencies like CAA and others had still not brought their folks back to their offices. So if things were getting better, you would think that the agencies, these ones in particular, who have most of the working actors in the world, would have seen an uptick in projects coming along, an uptick in approval and green lighting and all that sort of stuff, offers. They would have seen an uptick in this, and they would have been bringing their business would have been increasing, right? Usually before we would sort of see it on the ground on the production end. But that wasn't happening. So I and a few others were like, there's a little bit of a disconnect as to what people say is going on, that production is coming back, that things are happening, that nothing is slowing down, that we're going to get back to work, and then the people behind the scenes who would be the ones getting back to work don't seem to be doing a lot. And then, of course, it comes out now that is not happening. Why? They go into it in the article saying that it's really kind of a travesty, actually. I mean, 275 employees because of the COVID-19 pandemic, they say. 90 agents and executives, right, are now no longer a part of this industry. They're part of this, rather a part of this structure in the industry. And that they had been remote working for a long time due to the pandemic, but because they could not figure out when production was going to be coming back in a strong enough way to keep all of these folks employed, they decided that there were more challenges for the fiscal year 2021, which is what they say, that have made it difficult for them to see it as being profitable to continue to employ these folks. So what does that mean? That means that these people who are very much tied to writers, hell, there's musicians, there's like speakers, right, who work in the live event world. There's, of course, actors and many others who are employed. Not employed, but signed to this agency. And this agency doesn't see a lot of work for these people, doesn't see it as viable to continue to have all of these wonderful agents that work with all of these wonderful artists from so many different genres, as it's not profitable and it's not viable for them to continue their business with this many people. That is concerning, right? That means that they, with all the information that they have and all the ties to the industry that they have, they don't believe that the industry will be coming back in a way well through 2020 and well into 2021, so they say, that makes it viable for them to be a part of it in the way that they are now. That is something important for actors to know. Why is that? I don't put this out there, and I hope you don't take it as totally discouraging news, right? But it is important to face reality. It is important to know what is happening, to know what the industry players are doing, to know what the people who say yes to a project 3 or 4 times before you ever see it in a breakdown, who see how that's coming down the pipeline and see how they feel about the industry, see what they know about it, and where their heads are at about the future, certainly the near-term future of what we are all facing. That's important because then when you have a bunch of actors around you or folks who are like, hey, yeah, this is about to, come back in this way or XYZ, or, we're just going to fix this problem and then we're all going to be, back to work. That has to be taken with a dose of reality where you go, yeah, but, as much as you say that, there are other major industry players, pillars, honestly, of the industry that do not believe that that is true. They probably have much more invested in it, certainly, and so spend more time, energy, and resources looking into whether or not it's going to make sense for them to continue to do business anywhere close to the way that they had expected. There are other stories out there, of course, the fact that movie theaters are, there are contracts with movie theaters in terms of releasing certain projects. That timeline is being reduced, right? It used to be for a longer timeline. That's something we'll save for another story. But you just start to see a number of these indicators in our industry that the way that we used to do business, the normal we're all trying to go back to, is not here. It's not here now, and it's not going to be here in the near future, certainly for a couple of years. That is something an actor who plans on being in this industry now and in the future must take into consideration. What does it mean for you to survive the way that CAA is making a decision to survive? Their decision is certainly very disruptive to people's lives. You have a decision to make that can allow you not to disrupt your life in such a tragic way, in such a strong way. Yeah, you wish you could be doing more of your artistic craft. That would be great. But if it's not coming down the pipeline, what are some choices? What are some strategies you can put in place? What are some tactics that you can do right now to make sure that you survive this, let's call it a downturn in our industry, right? This dry spell, this period of time where there's so much uncertainty that it becomes very difficult for projects of any size to get off the ground and continue to employ people the way that we had been doing before. What are the things that you can do to make sure that your business survives? That's the point. That's what the podcast is all about. I hope I provide as much information on that as I can possibly get my hands on. I'm always trying to do that. This is an unfortunate note in our industry. It's an unfortunate point in our history, but it is something that we need to face in terms of the reality. And then we have a better understanding of, okay, what does that mean for me? How can I move forward? Because I must say, if one of the big four is making this decision, and this is coming out as publicly as it is now, they don't want to be as public with this as they're being, but it's necessary. That means that others are going to follow suit, and that event is going to trickle down through agencies and also probably through other parts of the industry as well. So that becomes very important for us to see, right? You know where the dominoes are falling. Now it's important for you to go, okay, how do I make sure I don't get hit in a really hard way? How do I make sure I'm not setting myself up with a false belief that I'm going to be in a position to make certain decisions and make certain investments and make certain actions and moves in my career that actually are not going to be there, right? What can you do to make sure you survive through this moment so whenever there's an opportunity on the other end to come back, or that you have an opportunity to actually work, that you are prepared to do that and you're not stuck without an apartment. You're not stuck without a car. You're not stuck in a job that you had to take that you can't leave now because now everything else is signed on to, your lease is depending on this, your XYZ, your medical insurance is now depending on this, blah, blah, blah. There are important moves that you can make now to ensure that you as an artist survive and that you as a business survive this time. So stay tuned for more information. I'm happy to share it. And if you got any questions, drop them in the comments below. And we'll do this again next time. All right. Take care, actors.